Okay, looks like we are working now. Thank you. Thank you, technology angels. Okay, so we are here live talking about my friend Annabelle and Laurelyn today, right? So Annabelle is an NLP certified coach, transformational coach, and a master essential oils coach, and she created a system called whole life coaching with essential oils. And what I love about Annabelle is she has this like secret tool that she uses. It let me see if I can. So it's kind of like this little tool thing, not this. This is an adapter, right? And you hold it in your hand and it sends out a reading, and it gives her the top essential oils that your body is lacking. Hi. Hi, Tanya. Okay, good. I can see comments. It's working great. Okay, thank you. And so she has this little tool, right, that tells you which essential oils your body needs the most. And through that, she creates an essential oils protocol for you. So that's how she incorporated essential oils into her business, which I think is great. So she and I actually have the same coaching certification, but she went on to get more into essential oils, and she was doing that for about 7 years before we got certified. And so essential oils are her thing, and so I love how she went deeper into that. So the same thing happened with Laurelyn, right? She was a hairdresser for 20 plus years. I know she doesn't even look it. She looks like she couldn't even be that old, right? But she was a hairstylist in Hollywood, and she was doing all of these famous people's hairs, and life got in the way. She had eczema, and that's how we met. The three of us met in the Health Coach Institute. And hi, Joe. We met in the Health Coach Institute, and we just bonded. Like, the three of us bonded, and we've kept in touch over the 4 years since we got our certifications. And so Laurelyn and Annabelle stayed with the health thing. I did the health thing for a while, and I realized my secret sauce is more like helping women with the emotional piece versus the health pieces, Anyhow, I wanted to affirmations, right? So Joe is one of my coaches, and we talk about this kind of stuff all the time, right? But Annabelle specifically talked about what she thinks about intentions versus affirmations, right? When we set an intention, it's like how we want to be for that day. And then we kind of turn it into an affirmation that kind of takes it to the next level. That's my summary. I really wanted you guys to go listen to how she describes it, but that's basically how she thinks about intentions versus affirmation. So if you're watching now or watching, so sorry. Let me put my phone on do not disturb. Yeah, it's that time. It's mom time. My kids are texting me, so hello, mom life. And I really like that, Annabelle. So that leads me to my next point. Thank you, children. Right? Annabelle also talked about how do we set our priorities as a mother. And Joe and I talk about this a lot. When we, wow, okay, it's popping up on my computer. But yeah, when we set our priorities, like there's a whole time in my life where I was working 70 hours a week. I don't know if you got that in the interview, but I mentioned that I worked 70 hours a week when I was working in the refinery. We had 12-hour shifts. I talked about this yesterday. Oh my gosh. Maybe it's an iPad. I don't know. hold on while we figure this out. Like, I don't know why I keep getting messages even though I'm on Do Not Disturb. Okay. Um, multitasking right now. Let's Do Not Disturb. Let's do that. Okay, cool. Let's see if that works. Hopefully you guys are still tracking with me. So setting priorities as a mom, right? My kids are texting me right now in the middle of work. And there was a time where, so the whip, okay, maybe this is why it's coming out now. But there was a time where I was at corporate work. I was the only female at the time. And like getting phone calls from your children while you're at work was like not a thing. Like men didn't get phone calls from their children, so it was kind of looked down. I was frowned upon for getting phone calls from my children. So I would like always whack it away and be like, I can't talk to you now. And I was very short tempered with my children when I was like on the job. And then because I worked with a lot of chemicals, right? I don't know if you guys could imagine this. Maybe I should just pop in here with my uniform. But I had coveralls, right? And it was, it's like a jumpsuit, like a flight suit. I don't know if you guys are familiar with one of those, but it's a full piece body suit, flame retardant. And I would work with chemicals, dirt, and all this kind of stuff, and I didn't want it to get on my kids. And so there was a time where I would just be like, no, don't touch me when I come home from work. But that's what the kids want to do. But like, hey, mom, you're home from work. Because I was gone before the sun went up. Like my parents had to take him to school, or my grandparents had to take him to school. Someone else had to take them to school because I reported to work at 4:30 in the morning, right? And then I wouldn't get home till like the sun was already going down, like 5:30. So I was gone longer than 12 hours because I had to be at work for 12 hours, right? And it was hard for my children to understand, for any child to understand, like, hey, mom has a job, mom has to work. When mom is working, then, work is work, and home is home. Like mom life is mom life, and work life is work life. And and it's a thing that I don't think, after working with men for 19 years, I don't think it's a problem that men have to deal with, right? The men can rely on their wives to take care of like kissing boo-boos and making sure like underwear, have to be the one that does all of that for our children, right? And so Annabelle and I talk a lot about how do we set our priorities as a mom who works, or if you don't work, if you have like a business and you're working from home. I think that's harder to separate. If you're working from home and there's someone, like right now, my husband's in the living room watching TV, and I'm here doing my doing my live, and I had to create that separation. I had to create a separate space, an office for me to work at. Back in Hawaii, I used to work on the kitchen table, which I am actually on the kitchen table right now, but it's in my office. This is feeling so weird. The video keeps cutting off. Just let me know if you guys are still here. Like, can you like tap on some hearts and let me know that my video is still working? Anyway, okay, so how many of you guys, if you're watching now or watching the replay, have listened to the interview and have tried the anchoring technique that Annabelle walked me through during the interview? Okay, cool. I'm seeing all of the emojis. Thank you. Yeah, that wasn't that anchoring technique cool? And also the cool gift that she has for you is access to her Achieving Bliss program. So I was a part of the pilot project for that, and she has like stuff to do in the morning. And this is not the building your own self-care morning routine. That's like a whole nother segment that we're gonna touch on. Is it I think it's coming up tomorrow. Yes, with Nicolette. But so Annabelle walks you through an anchoring technique that you can use in the morning, like right when you gotta get out of bed. Like you can take peppermint to help wake yourself up, or even like put it in your cup of tea or whatever. Yes, it's a Disneyland cup, of course. Like what other kind of cup would I drink from? If you're new to me, I just recently moved to California and we go to Disneyland all the time. At least once a week, sometimes every other week, but we're, you know, because we have annual passes, we make very good use of them. So let me know what you think about the anchoring technique if you're watching this now or watching the replay. And then right now I want to switch to Laurelyn since we don't have any questions about essential oils. Also, tag in the comments. Tell me what is your favorite essential oil. Right now, my favorite is Balance. I just love how it smells. Actually, I have it somewhere around here, but it's not right here right now. But yeah, I love Balance. So what your favorite essential oil is in the comments. I'm looking at my notes for Laurelyn. She talked about resistance and how it keeps us from being aligned. Oh, lavender. Yes, I think Balance has lavender in it. Is it so? You think lavender is gonna like put you to sleep, but it has like restorative properties, which I didn't know until Annabelle had to educate me on those things. Okay, yeah, resistance that keeps us out of alignment. So Laurelyn talked about different types of resistance that we come across, that she's come across in her journey, and it's something that we've all come across. So that's one of the questions. I'd love you guys to go back and listen to the interview and type, because you're gonna get an essential oil blend from Annabelle today. I think she's giving away Balance because I said that's my favorite one. So if you can give that to whoever wins the contest, then she'll give that to you. But as of now, there's nobody commenting on the post. So how the contest works: whoever comments, I'll be tallying it up during the week. Whoever comments and leaves the right answer, of course, right? Just leave a comment under the thread of that post. A comment will get you a ticket or an entry into the drawing, and at the end of the week we're going to draw a name and that person will win the prize. So that's how that works. Okay, kids again. So okay, resistance, it keeps us out of alignment. And right, Laurelyn is a big proponent of the law of attraction. Joe and I talk about the law of attraction a lot too when we're on our calls. But she specifically talked about how law of attraction helped her for her business to make revenue. So just a little bit of history, right? Laurelyn and I met in the Health Coach Institute. She was trying to be a health coach that teaches people how to get off of steroids, right? People who have eczema, to get them off of steroids with natural solutions, and which I think is great because she did it for herself. So one of the times where we were at a live event, I think in San Diego, she broke out in eczema, and like when I first met her, she had to wear gloves. Like when she would break out, she would have to wear gloves because her skin was just so inflamed. And I was like, wow, that's crazy. And she's like, yeah, I'm a hairdresser. So she was still doing hair and doing her health coaching, like trying to build her practice, right? And she left both of those things when life got hard, and she hit this bump in the road, and she had to go back to her art. So how she got into her art, right, is she was going through this down period, and she said, you know what, art makes me happy, so I'm gonna start drawing again. And I still remember it. You know, she just started posting her drawings online, and people were like so interested in it. They're like, oh, because what she was drawing was kind of black and white, and people were asking for coloring pages. You know, this was back when like meditative art and you know, like those coloring books, adult coloring books were really popular. So she started making coloring pages, and it just really took off. And then she saw, so this is all in the pre-interview stuff, and this is also stuff that I learned because I've been on this journey with her, right? So she took her vinyl records, and then she just started dotting them, right? I showed it to you yesterday. But she was making these things on a vinyl record. She saw it online, and she just started doing it one day, and now it's her thing. I tagged her on my Instagram feed. So yeah, you should go check her out. And she's at Got Art Therapy on Instagram, and she has a Facebook group too that you guys could join, where she has like her coloring pages in there, and she also has links to when she's having classes here in is it San Pedro? Yeah, San Pedro. You know, I'm new to California, so I'm still learning like where things are and whatever. So I'm like, is it south or north? South or north? Or south or north? Okay, so that is the and then she also talks about burnout. So you guys have both of my things are to not disturb. I don't know how these text messages are still coming through. Anyhow, how do we as women, as mothers, just stop the cycle of burnout? So she talks about a really simple thing that she discovered to get her out of burnout. And Joe and I talk about this too. So because I have had issues with my adrenals in the past, while I'm building my business, she as my coach makes sure I do not burn myself out. And you know, even through all the trials and everything that I had bringing this summit online, it's been a journey. You know, computers were broken down. My video editor, she's here, Queen Atahi, her computer like overheated and shut off. I talked about it yesterday. It's just amazing how things work. And she and I talked today, and you know, when the computer had shut down. So this is kind of how things work for us. We are what they call manifesting generators in the human design. Is we respond to situations, and that's why my nickname is the Crisis Queen, because when stuff hits the fan, I am the person that people call, but I'm also that person that tries to figure out why stuff is happening, why things are breaking down. And my brain is always in solution mode. Okay, so when she told me her computer was breaking down, one, I knew that the enemy was at work trying to get this thing not to go live. Like, I'm like, no, this thing has to go live, you guys. This has to go live. Not that it's because I wanted it to, but I knew that there were certain people that needed to be here and hear the messages that are going to be delivered this week. And for me, when I hit resistance, and so this is also another tip, when I see resistance and I see, you know, stuff happening that is like, look, I'm just hitting the wall, it's a sign for me to keep going, which I know is so weird. It sounds very like opposite, right? But when I see resistance, and because this used to happen to me when I was still a single mom, and we had service, like, was it Wednesday night service, Thursday nights, you know, meetings and stuff, because I was very active in my local church back in Honolulu. You know, I knew that when I had the most resistance was when I had to push through and get to church, because there was a message there that I needed to receive. So for me, resistance it's reminding me to up my faith, to increase my faith. That what's on the other side of this resistance is like everything that the enemy's trying to keep me from, right? And I did a video, I don't know if it's in this group, but talking about resistance like a rubber band, right? When we are stretched, right? This is a form of resistance, right? In physics terms, right? This is resistance. The amount of pushback that I'm getting from this, the tension in this rubber band. But I know on the other, like when I push through, right, just like I'm pushing through here with this rubber band, that good things are going to happen. Because the rubber band won't hold your hair, right? If I put it up like this, the thing will just slide off. There's no resistance, right? You have to pull it and you have to stretch it to the limit in order for it to function at its, I'm wearing black, so you can't see it. And my hair is black. Well, not all of my hair is black. I have white hair. It's just, you know, I have a good hairdresser. And thanks to Laura Lynn, that's how I actually found my hairdresser. And she's like right down the street from me, so it's pretty cool. And she has connections to Hawaii, which is also super cool. So, right, if I were to hold my hair up without the resistance, oh, that was fun. I just lost it. Right, if I was to hold up my hair without resistance, it's not doing its intended purpose. But I have to twist it up a little, and then now it can actually hold my hair. Right? So I just want to say, I know people in this group are facing a lot of resistance, whether it's in your personal life, thanks Joe, whether it's in your personal life, in your relationships, relationships with your children, relationships with a spouse, you know, just, I mean, yeah. Most of the women on the summit have older children. Like Annabelle, we talked about today, right? She has 5 adult children. Her youngest is going to graduate high school. I have adult children. Laura Lynn has adult children. And yes, it's hard when they're little, but once they hit teenage years and they're trying to break out, you know, they are pushing against you. Like, that's literally like, sorry, I know we're supposed to be Christian in here, but like that's when shit hits the fan. You know, like when my son was trying to, you know, resist my parenting because he thought he knew better, and my daughter had the same thing. She's like, Mom, I know better. You know, she was signing herself up to get her driver's license. I'm like, okay, I didn't authorize you to do that. Like, and whose car are you going to drive? Because you're sure not going to drive mine. You know, it's putting your kids on your insurance. So raise your hand if you have kids that, you know, have gotten their license or whatever. I don't know about California. Insurance is hella expensive. I thought Hawaii insurance was expensive, but it's way expensive here. I was gonna say expensiver, but I don't think expensiver is a real word. And but I like making up my own words. That's just who I am. I am a rebel. I'm this. But that's just who I am. I am a rebel. I'm a straight shooter. I'm a tell it like it is kind of person. And yeah. I also kind of wanted to address that today, if I may. I noticed some people commenting about like, hey, my life sucks. And, you know, this was yesterday under Stacy's title or her blurb, right? Hopefully you guys got access to Stacy's summit material because it's really good. I'm not focusing a whole lot on the whole narcissistic thing. I brought Stacy on because, and I wanted her to start it off because I know a lot of people, like that's who God has me to serve. Let's just be clear. People who have experienced toxic relationships in their past, but are willing to move forward. And so I wanted to address that here. Like Laurelyn said, we have a choice. We can choose to stay stuck, because I was here when Laurelyn was going through all of her resistance, right? She broke through on the other side, but it wasn't that she kept it, she let it keep her down. She took it as a sign that she had to regroup, and, move on from it. And I just want to speak to that today. Like, if you're still stuck in it and you're like looking at the resistance as the enemy, or as like, oh, woe is me, like, oh my gosh, why is all this happening to me? I mean, Nicolette's here right now. She went through a whole lot of resistance when she was working on her book deal, and you're going to hear about that tomorrow. I mean, so she put a whole lot of work into writing this book with her co-author, and we pretty much think that he was a narcissist, but according to Stacy's narcissistic descriptions and whatever. But yeah, her name's not even in the book. You can Google or you can look on Amazon. Her name is not listed on the book at all. So you won't even know what book it is, because then I'm not going to give him any more traffic for it, because he kicked off the book. But, it's, the women on the summit have been through a whole lot of stuff. And I just want you to feel, yes, life is hard, but we want to be the example for you that you can push through it and you can move forward. You can move on. Yesterday I had a conversation with the lady I went to lunch with. I think I might have talked about it yesterday too, but it's been on my heart. Thanks. I know these comments are so late. I'm laughing and I'm supposed to be serious now, but I just saw your LOL, Nicolette. I know it's hard to leave a toxic relationship, whether it's with your co-author, whether it's with your spouse, whether it's someone from work, or even like your boss, and you want to change jobs. I know a lot of you here have your own businesses, and you left corporate because it was a toxic workplace, and now you're transitioning into full-time or even part-time entrepreneurship. And it's hard. There's like stuff coming up against you like all the time. But I just want to remind you that anytime you're facing resistance, remember that, just remember this analogy of the rubber band. Resistance is really your friend. It lets you know when to keep pushing. There's certain things that will try to take you, and that's when it takes discernment. To know, oh, should I keep going? Should I leave? Like, should I stay in this relationship? Should I not stay in this relationship? But that's when it takes a discernment to know these things. Or working with a coach or a therapist who is specialized in toxic relationships. So, yeah. Let's see. The final question that I want to leave you guys with tonight is, when Laurelyn was talking about her mom and how her mom was like, oh, starving artist, right? Like, you can't make money doing art. And it's your mother, for crying out loud. Like, your mother is supposed to support you, or we as mothers like want to be there for our children, right? And I just want to know, has there been anyone who's kept you from moving on, pursuing your dreams? Yeah, you can drop them in the comments. This is a private Facebook group, so if you leave a comment here, it won't go public. But I just want to know, like, is that something that you face? Because I think I want to less than half, not everyone in the not everyone in the Facebook group has experienced that, but I think there are a lot of you listeners who, I'm so sorry. Um, my kids are blowing up my phone while I'm trying to do this live, talking about competing priorities and motherhood. You know, God is very funny. He, I swear, he always shows up for me in everything. There's always an analogy for me. Um, but yeah, is there anyone in your life keeping you from your dreams? And so, well, I just want to say, my two kids would not have been born. I had opposition, right? I was young when I had my children. So I was in the military when I had my son. I was like in active duty military, right? So it was frowned upon. Like, how are you going to keep your kid? Like, what if we go to war? All those kinds of things. Um, and I barely was 18 when I had him, or when I got pregnant with him. And then when I had my second kid, right, my daughter, I just started my job at the refinery, and you know, it's like, oh, this is a great paying job. Like you can't go out on maternity in your first year. I think I went out on maternity on my second year working there. And you know, this was back in 1999, 2000, right around there, where, and this is a male-dominated industry. And so, yes, in the office, like people, like they set up like the breast milk pumping station. They closed off one of the bathrooms and let the girls pump their milk there, like engineers, secretaries, and all of them. But out in the field, like I had to share bathrooms with men, like who, like they pee in the urinal and they don't flush it, or they could. I don't know if you guys know this about men, but when they pee in a urinal, they flush it as they're peeing. They don't flush it after they pee, they flush it as they are peeing. Because I would be so frustrated. Like, who leaves pee in the urinal? Like, why is there still pee in the urinal? Is the you know, the flusher not working? They're like, no, because I had more pee than it took to flush. I'm like, what are you guys talking about? So anyway, like they pee and they flush at the same time, hoping that as they're peeing, it's flushing. I think they think it's to save time, which I think that's crazy. Anyway, if you think that's crazy, give me some hearts or thumbs up. So I think that's hilarious. Anyway, like working with all these men and working in the field, like, why do you need maternity leave? I'm like, because I want to be with my baby. And so there's a lot of resistance for me going back to work. Because once I had, you know, my babies, like I didn't want to go back to work. I felt a mandate to be with her, like wanted to raise her, wanted her to feel loved, you know. And I went back to work, and I resented it. You know, I resented it, going back to work. And it was very hard for me to leave her, even though she was in good hands. But you know, I just was like in a different place in my life from when I had my son to when I had my daughter, to wanting to be a mother. Like, I didn't want to be a mother when my son was born. I was like, oh. I don't know if you watched the show Jumanji, right? It just came out, like Jumanji Part 2 came out, and that girl has abs, like. And I was like, man. We were watching it the other night, and I was so sad that I lost my abs. And I know Nicolette, you know, she had 3 kids back to back to back, just like my best friend in Hawaii. She had kids back to back to back, and then got her tubes tied because she's like, she got pregnant on birth control, so that's why she got her tubes tied. But you know, I was like mourning the loss of my abs. I was like, oh, I wish I had abs. Every time I watch that movie, I'm like, oh, I used to have abs like that, and now I don't. But there was a time in my life where I used to regret having kids, because it's like, they wrecked my boobs, they wrecked my body, they gave me stretch marks, until my current husband had to remind me. So my second husband talked about my stretch marks, and he's like, when we were going through our separation phase, and I was going out, I was networking because I was in a network marketing company, and I was going to all these meetings trying to build my business back in like 2003 or whatever. And he was like, ain't nobody gonna want you. You guys, he actually doesn't have that accent. I just throw that accent on there when I talk about it. But he was like, ain't nobody gonna want you. You have stretch marks, your vajayjays all like stretched out because you had kids. Your boobs are down to here, like who's gonna want you? But literally what he said, yeah, you look good for now, but wait until they take your clothes off and they see what's under all of that. And I don't know why I brought that story up, but I think it's probably for someone who's gonna watch the live or watch the replay, that there's part of you that like wants to succeed, that regrets certain things in life, like even having kids. And like this journey of motherhood has been a battle for you, like as it was for me, is having kids and walking through this journey. And part of your resilience journey is learning how to love and appreciate your kids. It's like now I'm laughing that my kids are texting me now, but in a previous life, I would have been very upset and would have got off this live and yelled at them and be like, don't you know I'm doing? Like, they don't know. But you know what I mean? Because they're not here. That's why they're texting me. But, I would have got off. I would have stormed out of here and be like, oh my God, don't you guys know I want to live? No. I would have been hella pissed. Hella pissed. Like I don't know if that was because I was sleep deprived, working shift work, or just the fact that I resented having children so young, and I felt like my whole career was smashed. And it even came back in my face going into the summit. So in the military, I was a mental health specialist. I scored high enough on my ASVAB where I could choose any job that I wanted. Right, perfect score is a 99 on the ASVAB. I scored a 98. An overall score. Okay. I don't know if those are still the numbers, but that's the score that I scored. And my recruiter said, you can choose any job that you want. And I said, well, I want to be a psychologist. And he's like, great, we have a position open in the mental health field. So I said, okay. And when I'm working with them, I was like, oh, it was hard to be working in a hospital. I'm a front person. I'll tell it to you straight. And it was so hard for me to hold my tongue and be like, you don't have a mental issue. You have a motivational issue. Like, you just need to get your behind to work and work. I was just very harsh, or like I had a very hard or hustle hard outlook on life. I'm like, y'all need to get your butts to work and just do your jobs. Like, stop like using time here with me to just get off the job, and like you just want to sit in the office, or you want to like get out of going to war. So you want me to write you a note so that you don't have to go to war. Like, you signed up for this job, do the job, right? So I could not say things like that. And I said, well, maybe this career is not for me. So from whatever that was, 1997, fast forward all the way till the beginning of this year, I had a call with an expert lined up. And she's a toxic relationship specialist, but she's also a psychotherapist. And we got on the call. I was going to invite her to speak on the summit, and she was like, well, what are your credentials? And blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, I worked in the military. She's like, yeah, but what degree do you have? Like, what? And basically, she was waiting for me to tell her the letters behind my name. LCSW, PhD, da-da-da-da-da. And I told her I didn't finish school because I went to work at age 20. I got a full-time job at age 20. I had to quit school. And then she was like, oh, and it's just so weird. She's supposed to be, like a toxic relationship specialist, But it just, just how she was treating me, I was like, how are you working with people who are coming out of toxic relationships when I'm feeling this toxic energy coming from you? Anyway, so I'm just saying, like, I got hit hard because I was like, maybe I'm not supposed to do this summit. Maybe this is a bad idea. Like, I cried a lot. Like, I was just like all the fears from the past were just like coming at me, and that's the other reason why I decided to keep doing this summit. Is I hit resistance, and like one person tried to tell me not to. One person was like, you shouldn't do it. Then I had a whole other bunch of people, especially the ladies that are on the summit this week, telling me to keep going. I believe in you. Like, you need to do this. I fully believe in what you're doing. Let me stand beside you and let me help you walk through. Like Joe, like Nicolette, they help keep me going through this whole thing. And today's Girls' Day. It's, Japanese Girls' Day. I know International Women's Day is on the 8th, but today's Girls' Day. And so just want to send a shout out to my girls, all you girls who are on the summit. I want to send a shout out to you guys and Joe, because she's my coach that I meet with, through this program that I'm in through my business mastermind. And she's great. She's phenomenal. She always helps me push through my barriers, right? She's the person that does this to me every week. And she pushes me through like this. And but sometimes we need someone to just kick us. Oh wow, there's comments like popping up. I didn't know. She's that lady that keeps stretching me to the next level, and I want to be that person for you. So before we leave tonight, does anyone have any questions? If you do have any questions, pop them in the group. You can't tag Annabelle because for whatever reason, when she added, asked to be part of the group, I did it from my phone, and then now like she's stuck in this middle, like never land. I try to approve, deny, delete, whatever. She's still stuck. She's stuck in the waiting room. But if you tag her, if you have any questions about the anchoring technique, what oils to use, I highly recommend, like if you're in Las Vegas area, that's where she's from, go see her, make an appointment. She'll hook you up to her machine, tell you which essential oils you need in your life, and get you on a protocol. And if you're here in Los Angeles and you just like, oh, I want to take an art class, I need my brain to slow down. I need to slow down enough to get these dots straight. And it really takes a steady hand and you need to slow down and breathe, kind of like pulling a trigger on a gun, to get these dots to line up. Laurelyn's here in Los Angeles, and you can go ahead and sign up for her free newsletter, where she will tell you more about the classes that she has here in the Los Angeles area. And actually, Annabelle is going to be in Los Angeles more often these days. So you can reach out to her as well and grab her course called Achieving Bliss, where she'll walk you through these essential oils protocols. It's super cool. All right. Thank you guys for staying on. I love you, Joe and Nicolette, and shout out to the replay viewers. I'm so glad you're here on the summit. I hope you guys got a lot of the interviews, and as always, tag me, comment, if you have any questions or issues with the summit. So I just want to sign off right now. I hope you guys have a great evening. Okay, good night.